Hello, friends, and welcome to Spirited Movie Companions, a movie podcast from the guys that brought you Bottled and Bond. I am Mike Scott, and I have been watching and enjoying movies since I was a kid in the 1900s, and I've always been interested in their history and the lore behind their creation. So, alongside my friend Charlie, we will be taking a deep dive into movies we choose based on a randomly selected monthly theme. We will also be providing pairings for the movie, which may include other movies, books, music, and, in the spirit of our Bottled and Bond podcast, companion beverages. Today we will be discussing 1994's Clerks. So make yourself some popcorn, find a comfy seat, and pour your favorite drink while we ponder this question. Wouldn't this podcast be great if it weren't for the hosts? This is episode 2, Clerks. Charlie, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Now, I got to tell you, I thought maybe this week's episode was going to answer a useful question, like what movie you'd recommend for a 6-year-old boy who chronically wets his bed.
Yes. So how long is this movie anyway? Okay. Ooh, Navy SEALs.
Exactly.
We just got to say it right up front. We're going very blue in this episode. Like, we are going to swear more in this episode than every episode we've done up to this point.
Well, I assume
in
this movie was
podcasts.
rated R, right?
Yeah, it barely escaped getting an NC-17.
Really?
Yes, the whole 37 thing.
Oh.
It was originally NC-17, and Kevin Smith, argued the decision, and they dropped it to R. So, quick little trivia right there at the beginning. This month's theme, wrapping it up with the usual again, comfort movies / all-time favorites. This is one of my all-time favorites.
You know, one time when this comes up again, we have to do the usual suspects for the usual, right? Like, I mean, we have to. It's like
all-time favorites.
Must.
That's a good
I mean,
one.
that is
That's
a
really
good movie.
Our companion beverage today is the Gatorita. Very excited for that one. Countess Tracy from Bottled and Bond. We got to give her a new name for Spirited Movie Companions. We'll have to think of that. But she will be preparing this beverage today. So let's go into recent favorites, movies and TV. I have been watching Rooster on HBO. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last episode, but
Yeah.
continuing to watch that. Very good stuff. Movies, I watched two very, very, very different movies yesterday and today. I watched the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Oh, my goodness.
Which was nowhere nearly as good as the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Come on.
It was fine, though. And then this morning, I watched a movie called The Piano Teacher, which is by a director named Michael Haneke, who all he does is make movies that are incredibly depressing and bleak. And this one was no exception.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine if I ever did one of those for this podcast. I don't even know what you would think. How about you? Anything? Any movies or TV?
You'll be surprised to know I haven't seen any movies recently other than this one.
Yeah.
I've been traveling a lot for work, so I haven't watched a ton of TV, but we just finished the newest season of The Pit, which is good.
Wow, you got through that. Oh, that's 10 episodes or?
Something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know. We finished The Night Agent new season. That's pretty good. We're watching a show called something like How to Get to Heaven in Belfast, or I don't know. It's by the same lady who did Dairy Girls.
Oh, okay.
And it's about these women kind of investigating this mystery. It's pretty funny, as you'd imagine, from her.
Dairy Girls.
Because Dairy Girls is just
very entertaining.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go on to the one-shots. Did you remember to write your one-shot for this movie?
I didn't, but I'll come up with something.
Okay. Well, you have plenty of time. So my one-shot, I'm not convinced this wasn't a documentary.
Right.
Cast for this movie, Brian O'Halloran as Dante Hicks, Jeff Anderson as Randall Graves, Jason Mewes as Jay, Kevin Smith as Silent Bob, Lisa Spoonhour as Caitlin Bree, Marilyn Gigliotti as Veronica Lawfren, which this is the first time I ever researched this movie. That's the first time I saw her last name.
Now, were these just all friends of Kevin Smith? I mean, did he do some like casting or anything?
Jeff Anderson was a friend. Jason Mewes was a friend. Brian O'Halloran, Lisa Spoonhour, and Marilyn Gigliotti were all local actors.
Okay.
So, and I mean, these are household names now, obviously. All these people, they each have like, what, 2-3 acting Oscars or something? Oh, wait, no. They're basically just known for Kevin
They
Smith
basically
movies.
just are hangers on to
Yeah.
Kevin Smith's world of movies.
Yes. Crew, directed by Kevin Smith. Screenplay by Kevin Smith. Cinematography by David Klein. Production design by Robert Holtzman. The theme song, which I thought the theme song was Clerks, which is the one at the beginning of the movie, but the
Right.
official theme song is actually the one at the closing credits.
Okay.
Can't Even Tell by Soul Asylum. Soul Asylum's got a couple good songs. Runaway Train.
Yeah. Perfect band for 1994.
Yeah. What's it called? Misery Incorporated or something like that?
That sounds right.
Release details. This was released January 22nd, 1994 at the Sundance Film Festival. It was released in theaters October 19th, 1994. Financials. This movie cost $27,575 to make.
I'm really surprised.
Which is approximately $65,000 in today's money.
With all those special effects
I know.
and set changes and everything.
Yeah, and the
Mike?
CGI, it was pretty crazy.
Wow, that's amazing.
I will say after Miramax bought the movie, because they did buy it at Sundance, they
Okay.
did spend $230,000 to secure the movie rights and for the editing afterwards. Box office, $4.4 million. How would you like that? You max out, because this is what Kevin Smith did. He maxed out like all of his credit cards
Yeah.
to make this movie. Spent $27,000. It made $4.4 million, which is equivalent to $9.9 million now. This movie never played on more than 100 screens at one time.
I mean, that's very successful
Yes.
for what this movie is,
Yes.
right? There are probably hundreds of movies made like this every year that amount to nothing.
Yeah.
Or, over time, right? Because this is just like somebody with a camera who wants to make a movie.
Yeah. So what's your history with this one?
I honestly think I watched this in like the mid 2000s because it was on like the AFI funny movie list or
okay.
something like that. I don't remember being familiar with it
Yeah.
at the theater. And so I believe, I think I've watched it. I think this was the third time I've seen it because I watched it once and then I showed it to Becky one time, I think. And then this time.
Okay. So a good friend of my wife and I's, Kim, shout out to Kim, who will never hear this. In 1999, we would go up to, because my wife she was in Purdue at the time. So I would go up and visit and we'd hang out with our friend Kim. And she loved the movie Mallrats because she was a
Okay.
big fan of actor Jason Lee.
Oh.
And so we
Yeah,
watched.
from My Name is Earl.
Yes.
The
and
skateboarder?
And Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Right. And he was like a pro skateboarder, right?
She always thought he was Stan Lee's son, but he was not Stan Lee's son because Stan Lee is also in Mallrats.
Oh, okay.
But I watched that one and it was fine. But I liked the Jay and Silent Bob character, and so I decided to watch Clerks. I, at that point, had previously worked at my parents' convenience store in downtown Indianapolis.
Oh, perfect.
Worked there for like 3 years. So I am, in fact, a clerk. But I watched it, and I watched it a ton. And then I watched all his other ones up to that point, Chasing Amy, like Dogma had just come out.
No, okay.
I went and saw Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back in the theater and on from there. So I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. He's like my first director guy. Like now I would say my favorite director is probably Wes Anderson.
Yeah. I
But
would
for a
say
long
that, too.
time, it was Kevin Smith. So that's my history.
Okay.
So we have these scene summaries. It's really nice how these are broken up because he actually has a title for each of his scenes.
Right.
So I'll just read this real quick and then we'll kind of talk about it. So the first scene's called Dante. Awakened by a coworker from a very comfortable slumber in his closet,
Yeah.
Dante Hicks is asked to cover a shift. He begins his opening duties, but is unable to open the shutters behind the counter thanks to a bunch of savages in the town. Regardless, I assure you the quick stop is open. The shutters were closed so that Kevin Smith could film the movie at night. That was the reason for that.
I figured it was because you couldn't have, well, you couldn't have those windows behind, and I mean, even if it was backlit, that probably wouldn't work
Yeah.
very well during the day either,
Right.
even if he was filming in the day. Yeah.
Now, the opening credit thing with the boy bouncing the ball and the clown undressing behind him,
Oh, yes.
which is the View Askew Productions logo or whatever, that was actually drawn by Walt Flanagan, who is in this movie more than one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, who Kevin Smith called the Lon Chaney of this movie because of how many parts he played.
What all did he play?
We'll get to him.
Okay.
I'll point them all out for you. Memorable scene from this opening is when he steals all the newspapers out. Well, he buys he puts a quarter in for the newspaper. Kids, newspapers are these things that used to have all your news on them. That's the only way you'd read it.
And they got all this black ink on
Yeah.
your fingers when you
Yeah.
read them.
You could take Silly Putty and stamp it on there, and it would
Oh,
make it on
totally. That's practically why Silly Putty was invented.
pretty much. But he gets all these newspapers out and then closes it because he didn't have any in the store. So he goes to this other box, gets them all out, closes it, and then his money comes back to him. So he basically got all the newspapers for free. Not that
I
he
always
would-
wondered about that whole vending machine of newspapers, right? Because you could always steal them all when
Yeah.
you put the quarter in, but I
not
guess
that Dante made any profit from it or anything,
No.
but it's still kind of funny.
no.
Any other thoughts on the little opening scene there? Just him start opening up the store and everything.
No,
That stuff was so familiar to me, you know, making the coffee, getting the newspapers ready and all that.
Well, there was the dog drinking from the toilet. He had a dog who drank from the toilet. I
He
did
did.
enjoy that. And he drove a Buick Century.
Nice.
I loved his Buick Century. My dad had a Buick Century that looked very much like that in the 70s.
If we ever cover Clerks 2, we'll have to see if it's the same car in Clerks 2.
Okay.
Scene 2 is called Vilification. After purchasing a coffee, a customer begins preaching to other customers about the dangers of smoking, getting on Dante's nerves,
He pulls a lung out of the bag.
which was actually a calf's liver.
Oh, funny.
Although Brian O'Halloran said that it reeked, and he had to there was one spot where you could see him actually sniffing the air because of
Yeah.
how bad it was. So we just have one customer at this point where he's talking to him, and then we go to scene 3, Jay and Silent Bob. Two innocent youths position themselves in front of the store, certainly just to hang out and not to sell drugs. And this is where we welcome to the View Askew cinematic universe Jay and Silent Bob, because there is a whole universe of movies based on these characters. Did you know that? Did you know that they're all connected?
I knew there was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Jay and Silent Bob are in Mallrats. They're in
Yeah.
Chasing Amy. They're in Dogma.
Yeah.
They're
So
in-
I knew they did stuff in movies, but
They're also
I
in
haven't seen them.
They're in Scream 2
Really?
as a crossover.
Funny.
So I'm going to have the little segment called Mike the Apologist, because there's a lot of things Jay says during this. It's not exactly enlightening stuff.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, this was 1994. One of the things Jay says, he says he'll fuck anything that moves, which is actually a line directly from David Lynch's Blue Velvet. Have you ever seen Blue Velvet?
I have seen Blue Velvet.
That's a line.
It's a wild movie.
That is a wild movie. Dennis Hopper says it in that movie. There's actually quite a few tributes by Kevin Smith to other movies in this. So after the fear-mongering customer starts riling up even more now former smokers, Dante, an innocent man, is pelted by cigarettes for being a cancer merchant. Great memorable line here. Friends, let me tell you another group of hate mongers that were just following orders. They were called Nazis, and they practically wiped an entire nation of people off the earth, just like your cigarettes are doing now. This was the guy that we'll find
Right.
out here in a second who he really was.
Yeah.
Talking about Dante. Dante is rescued by his girlfriend, Veronica. She questions the antagonizer, who reveals he is actually a Chuli's gum representative
That was
trying
nice.
to get people to buy more of his gum. After he leaves, one of the angry customers buys a pack of cigarettes. And this is our
That's funny.
first appearance of Walt Flanagan, who is a longtime friend of Kevin Smith and played, I think, 4 roles in this movie.
Now, during this whole scene, they mentioned Grizzly Adams, and I wondered if you know who Grizzly Adams is.
Was it a TV show?
It was.
Okay, from the 70s.
Yes.
The only other thing I know it from is from the movie Happy Gilmore when he says, yeah, right, and Grizzly Adams had a beard. And they're like, Grizzly Adams did have a beard. So I don't know the show.
He was a guy who lived out in the woods.
Yeah.
And he had a bear for a friend. And he and the bear would, I don't know, solve a mystery or deal with some kind of difficulty every week on the show. Grizzly Adams and the bear would do something.
Yeah.
But yes, he had this beard and looked very grisly, living in his cabin out in the woods with his bear.
Nice.
It was very entertaining.
We'll talk more about Grizzly Adams here in a minute, the character in this movie. So Veronica tries to get Dante to quit the job he clearly hates while he paints her fingernails.
Yes.
And they discuss slap and tickle behind the counter. At one point during this, he's talking about how, women basically have to be there. Insert
Yes.
preferably moist.
Yes.
Thrust repeat. And he says a comment, I was making a broad generalization, to which Veronica replies, you were making a generalization about broads. I love that line.
That is pretty good.
Dante reveals he's a pig.
She also talks about how his hands smell like shoe polish.
Well, we're going to be doing a count of how many times we get shoe polish and how many times
because he says he's not supposed to be shoe polish.
Yes,
because he has the sign to say they're open.
A big sign that says, I assure you we are open.
Yeah.
Why do your hands smell like shoe polish?
Yes.
So they eventually get to the point where they talk about how many people they've slept with. Dante reveals he's a pig, having slept with 12 women. Veronica slaps Dante and states she's slept with 3 men. Right before she reveals that, he's like, oh, do I get to slap you after you tell me?
Right.
So now we see a guy come in, which Grizzly Adams, who was outside. This is actually a guy named Willem, dropping in for some soda and cigarettes. And Veronica, they talk about how this guy likes to do something called snowballing. And we'll let you look that up, kids, because I'm not going to.
Don't look it up.
Veronica at this point drops the bombshell that she has filleted 37 guys, which infuriates Dante.
Yes.
I should talk about Willem here. Willem is played by Scott Mosier, who also he met Kevin Smith in film school in Vancouver. And he produced many of the early Kevin Smith movies, as well as Good Will Hunting.
Oh, he did all right on that one.
Yeah. And then he went on to direct the Benedict Cumberbatch animated version of The Grinch.
That can't be good, can it?
I've never seen it.
I haven't either.
I think my daughter went and saw it, and I think she liked it. Anyway, if we go back, Veronica's talking about this, what she did, the 37 guys. She gets all mad. They're mad at each other, and she leaves. Dante looks out the door of the Quick Stop and says, hey, try not to suck any dick on the way through the parking lot. And there's a guy standing there,
yes.
And he turns and starts to walk towards her, and Dante says, hey, you get back here. Next scene we go to is Randall. Dante's being harassed by a customer, angry about the RST video store not being opened yet. As the customer leaves without his keys, Randall Graves messes with another video store customer outside, promising he, not she, will be able to rent the movie Dental School. I don't even know if that's a real movie.
I have no idea.
But this is Jeff Anderson, like I said earlier, another longtime friend of Kevin Smith's with no acting experience. Originally, Kevin Smith was going to play the Randall part, and he realized that there was just no way he could do it. And it eventually got to the point where Jeff Anderson got the part. And
once you see him do it, you can't imagine anyone else
no.
ever doing it the way he delivers his lines.
Yeah, he's great. No acting experience. It's amazing. So Randall heads to the Quick Stop, gets chastised by Dante, sasses the guy that forgot his keys earlier, and finally opens the video store. He says a memorable line to that customer, no time for love, Dr. Jones, which of course is an homage to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, so good. That's a great line.
That guy also, of course, was just like some local guy, and I thought he did a good job with his little lines there. We next go to the scene Syntax. Dante and Randall discuss Caitlin Bree, Dante's ex-girlfriend, while Randall eats stolen food and enjoys a Gatorade. This is not where we're going to do our drink, our Gatorita. We'll do that a little later. But they're talking about how Caitlin Bree cheated on Dante like 8.5 times.
Yeah.
And the half was they were at a party together, or they didn't know that they were at a party
right.
together. Dante is passed out in a room. Caitlin comes in, but she thinks it's somebody else in there.
Right. It's supposed to be somebody else.
But she says the guy's name, and Randall has a line. People say crazy shit during sex. One time I called this girl mom.
Yes.
But ultimately he talks about how she always cheated on him. And Randall then is reading this newspaper, and it turns out that Caitlin is engaged to an Asian design major.
Whatever that is.
So it's an Asian person.
Who is a design major?
Or it's very confusing. It's either an Asian person that's a design major or an Asian that's an Asian design major.
Yeah.
Who knows? Outside, Jay does a little dance while inside the video store, Randall places a video order for numerous pornographic movies, as well as a movie called Happy Scrap Hero Pup.
Well, the funny thing is, the lady comes in and asks for the Happy Scrappy Hero Pup first, and then he's like, "Oh, that's great. I'm on the line right now with the distribution warehouse." Yeah. And proceeds to order several movies with this lady holding her child, right?
I think what we'll do is we'll just each say our favorite title, and that'll stay in the episode. I think the funniest title to me is...
And oh yeah, All Holes Filled with Hard Cock. And oh wait, what was that one called again?
You like the editing job they did there with... So when he was saying all of them, it was zoomed in on him, and clearly the kid wasn't in there.
Yes.
Although they did say that at one point the kid was in there because the mom didn't care.
Right. So, well, the kid didn't probably know what any of it meant.
My favorite one, the one I find the funniest, is just Men Alone 2, the KY connection.
Yes.
What's your favorite?
I mean, they're all something.
Come On, Eileen's pretty funny too.
Yes. Put it where it doesn't belong.
We now go back to Dante, who's calling the local newspaper, desperate to find out if the wedding announcement was a misprint. While he's doing this, he left the litter box on the counter. A cat does its business while a customer watches.
I saw that.
That animal may have been harmed slightly in the making of this movie because they prevented it from going to the bathroom for a long time.
So
that it would do it on camera.
Do it on camera, yeah.
The guy watching the cat do its business in the litter box was actually like one of the local theater managers or something. So he was actually an actor too.
Now, is this also when the man gets his hand stuck in the Pringles can?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
Jay and Silent Bob are chatting with Bob's Russian cousin, Olaf, who's trying to impress a girl.
Yes.
Did you ever listen to the band Fuck Your Yankee Blue Jeans?
I don't think I've heard that one.
Yeah, Berserker did not chart, unfortunately. But he does his whole little beginning of the song. My love for you is like a truck berserker.
Yes.
Would you like some making fuck berserker? And the girl that's standing there is impressed. So now we go back to Randall at the video store. He finishes watching Return of the Jedi. You love those 50s generic sound effects that were supposed to be that. Olaf is outside singing a second line to Willem. And then Dante's helping an idiot get a Pringles can off his arm.
Yes.
So Randall comes in at this point and asks Dante whether Empire or Jedi is the better movie. To which Dante says Empire. And he says the reason is that's what life is, a series of down endings.
Yes.
I wonder if this is where the conversation changed on the better movie. Because I feel like before that, I imagine most people probably just said Empire Strike or Return of the Jedi because it was the final one.
Yeah.
But then this whole diatribe about Empire Strikes Back, and now it's considered like many consider it the best Star Wars movie. Anyway, the conversation, Dante and Randall discuss the repercussions of independent contractors choosing to help rebuild the Death Star in Return of the Jedi.
This is my favorite part of the movie,
Okay.
of course. It involves basically henchmen, right?
Yes.
Right? All these people. And by the way, roofers making the Death Star. Tell me where the roof of the Death Star is. That was my favorite thing, talking about roofers working on the Death Star. Right. And Randall's upset because all these innocent
Yeah.
independent contractors were killed when the rebels blew up the Death Star. So really, the rebels were the bad guys.
Right. So there's a roofer in the Quick Stop that overhears this conversation, provides his own thoughts on whether independent contractors should take personal politics into account, telling a story about how his friend was killed when a rival mobster shot up the house he was working on.
Well, actually, what he says is he refused to
He
take the
refused
job, and he gives it to his friend, who then gets killed.
Yep.
Good friend.
Babyface Bambino's
Yes,
house.
I know.
During this whole scene, we see Jay in the background just stealing and eating snacks all throughout the conversation. And Kevin Smith said that was an homage to Animal House when Bluto's going through the cafeteria line. Look, we connected Animal House and Clerks. That whole scene's great. Look, Kevin Smith, an absolute nobody. Spent $27,000 on this movie, writing a piece of dialogue like that was just awesome. By the way, that contractor that was in there, his last name was Dunn, and his roofing company was called Dunn and Reddy. I like that.
Nice.
We now go into the scene called Vagary. Randall continues to show nothing but the utmost respect for customers by ignoring a lady asking about whether 2 movies are any good.
Are either of these any good?
I find it's best to stay out of other people's affairs. Anyway, the argument escalates, and she storms off in a huff, saying, "Screw you." To which Randall gets off of the counter and goes to the door and says, "Hey, you're not allowed to friend here anymore." And then Jay's outside going, "Yeah."
After she already said she'll never come back.
Dante and Randall at this point are watching a customer check cartons of eggs for the perfect dozen. Another customer comes in and guarantees that the egg checker is a guidance counselor, because who else would have a more useless job?
I mean,
he's just on the floor.
He's got all
around.
These cartons of eggs sitting out, and he won't mix and match. Right. He has to find the perfect carton.
Rubs it against his nipple.
Yeah, all these ridiculous tests, rolling them on the floor and looking at them, putting them in his mouth.
Yeah. And that was Walt Flanagan again.
Oh, okay.
By the way, did you ever see the show Comic Book Men on AMC?
No, I'm aware of it existing, but I never saw it.
Because that's obviously, it's Jay and Silent Bob's secret stash, and he's one of the people in it, Walt Flanagan. Okay. So, the customer that was talking about the guy being a guidance counselor was Virginia Smith, Kevin Smith's sister.
Oh, okay.
She has a great line. "It's important to have a job that makes a difference, boys. That's why I manually masturbate caged animals for artificial insemination." Yes. And Kevin Smith said in the commentary that job was like an actual posting in a newspaper that he saw.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. We now go to the scene called Purgation. Randall is behind the counter at the Quick Stop and sells a pack of smokes to a very young child.
It wasn't clear whether she asked for the cigarettes or whether she gave him money and he just put them down there. Like, you can't tell what's happening.
I have questions here.
Yeah.
Where's the mother?
Right.
If this girl's 4 years old, because we'll be hearing about this later also. Yeah. We cut to another, we fast forward a little bit, I guess. Dante comes back and gets behind the counter with Randall. Dante says a great line that I like. "You ever notice all the prices end in 9? Damn, that's eerie."
Yes.
Dante and Randall at this point have a very deep philosophical conversation about jizz moppers, which is the guy that cleans the nudie booth after somebody has done their business. Kids, a nudie booth is a thing where you would go and into a room. I've never been to one. I've seen them in movies. And like a curtain comes down and there's a naked lady or some, naked man, if that's your thing, whatever, doing whatever. The only movie I can think of where it's not like totally perverse is a movie called Paris, Texas, where a guy goes to see his ex-wife and she's in there, but they're not like, there's no sexual anything to it. But the customer comes up to the front and has these stuff that he's buying. He says he will never shop here again. And he's highly offended. And Randall responds apologetically by "You think that's offensive?" Shows him we'll say a beaver shot. I think you can see her kidneys.
Don't you think the guy was offended because that's what his job was?
Absolutely. I was getting ready to get to that.
Yeah.
He had Kleenex he had paper towels and Windex that he was buying. He was clearly a jizz mopper.
Yes.
But Randall shows him that naked lady picture and says, "I think you can see her kidneys." Dante gets all pissed at Randall again for aggravating the customers. To which Randall replies, "This job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customers." They then
Yes.
they then discuss in depth the bevy of idiotic customers they deal with. We're gonna go through all these because they're all funny.
Okay, good.
We got the milkmaids, the ladies that search all the gallons of milk for the one with the latest expiration date. That's actually Kevin Smith's mother in that scene.
Oh, that's funny.
And then Randall says he could do without all the customers at the video store.
Which ones? All of them.
All of them. What would you rent for a 6-year-old boy who chronically wets his bed? And then a girl, do you have any new movies in? Huge sign right behind her that says new.
Yes.
And then a guy, do you have that one with that guy that was in that movie last year?
Do you have that one with a guy who was in that movie last year?
And then he finds one. He's go, ooh, Navy SEALs.
Yes.
You ever seen Navy SEALs?
No. Have you?
No. I should, though,
Well, maybe we
since
have to
I've
watch
watched
it now.
this a billion times. Dante then relates his own group of customers, which are just the same ones, but in his store.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's no ice? You mean I got to drink this coffee hot? And me and my wife quote that line to this day.
Nice.
Anytime we have a hot beverage. So how much is this thing anyway? Huge sign right behind her with the price of it. Do you sell hubcaps for a 72 Pinto hatchback? And then he gets distracted. Ooh, Mini Trucker Magazine. That's actually one of the crew members. It was either the cinematographer or the production designer. The Navy SEAL guy.
What I liked was while they're having this discussion, behind them was a rack with some Red Man chewing tobacco.
Nice.
There are two problems with that.
Yes. Chewing tobacco being the lesser of the two
Yes,
problems. With
right.
that. Randall and Dante then discuss Caitlin again, but Veronica comes in and she brings Dante some lasagna. Randall hassles Veronica over the 37, making sucking sounds as he leaves.
Randall's a real troublemaker.
Yeah. Here's our first big continuity error. Veronica states she'll see him when he closes, but that hasn't been established yet.
Oh, because he's still leaving for his hockey game.
Yes.
In theory.
So we go to the next scene.
Not
which
even
is
supposed to be here today.
malaise. After being told the boss isn't coming in today and he has to work the entire day, Dante loses it, closes the store, plays hockey on the roof for 12 minutes, and finds out that all the Gatorade has been taken. So we get this is a funny scene right here because we get this real kind of preppy looking guy that he wants to get his cigarettes. He climbs up the ladder, says, when's this period over? 8 minutes, and he gets all pissed. So he's like, and then he starts criticizing Dante's hockey playing. So he gets up on the roof and plays with, without skates, but with the other guys. And
Yeah.
he gets a hold of the ball and he just launches it off the roof.
Yeah. And it goes into the street and down the sewer.
Yeah. So that guy is also Scott Mosier. That's the
Oh,
Willem
really?
guy from earlier. So you get a funny part here where when he's up on the ladder,
Yeah.
Jay's like, or no, there's a random guy that's like, "Hey, are you open?" And then Willem comes up and says, "Hey, yeah, are you open?" And the Scott Mosier up on the ladder yells down, "No!" So it's Scott Mosier yelling at Scott Mosier.
That's funny.
It is pretty funny. At this point, we are going to have our drink because we have a little scene here where one of the hockey players is
Well, he's arguing about getting free Gatorade.
yeah, he wants free Gatorade.
Yeah.
And if you get one, everybody will get one. And then he has a line
Just
where
gives up.
yeah, because the guy says, "What do you care, you shoe polish smelling motherfucker?"
Yes.
And another favorite line of mine in this. So when they lose the ball, Dante, can't believe nobody else brought another hockey ball. And so he looks down onto the street level and is like, "Hey, are there any balls down there?" To which Jay replies, "About the biggest pair you've ever seen, Dingleberry." So I think we'll take our break right there and we'll
All
get
right.
our Gatoritas. We are back with our Gatoritas made with Espanita tequila. So,
And Gatorade.
yeah, made by
I think the high class drink befitting of this
Yeah.
movie.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's like Gatorade.
There's
Like
a Gatorade,
frozen Gatorade.
which may not be a good thing because I don't get any of the tequila in there.
No. You could just drink that.
Yeah, you could drink those and
Probably a bad idea.
be feeling pretty good and not realize what you've done.
So one thing I did notice, they play hockey, and I feel like, and the one guy is wearing a CCCP hockey jersey, which I
Yes.
did like because, of course, back in the day, right, we were almost just past the time of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that Kevin Smith is a huge hockey fan because whenever you see him, it seems like he is invariably wearing a hockey jersey of some sort.
Here's what's funny. I never really got that he was that big of a hockey fan when he was younger.
Yeah.
I listened to his book, which is going to be one of my recommendations. It's called Tough Shit. It came out in like 2012.
Okay.
He talks about how he like watched this big Wayne Gretzky documentary.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden he just went all in on hockey. He might have been a fan before that, but I think
Right,
it really became a big deal after he watched this because for whatever reason he just fell in love with Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
I think he's like met him. He does like some sort of charity thing with Wayne Gretzky
Oh, wow.
that's in honor of Wayne Gretzky's father. So yeah, but yeah, he always has those hockey jerseys now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of lame. I mean, what kind of grown ass man would wear a hockey jersey?
That is a good question.
I have 2 Seattle Kraken
Yes.
hockey jerseys that I wear all winter pretty much. So I'm the Kevin Smith of this podcast. We now have a scene called Harbinger. An old man comes in and asks Dante if he can use the toilet. He then asks him for toilet paper because he doesn't like the rough stuff that's back there.
Right.
He then asks him for a nudie magazine because he wants something to read. And to quote him, they draw the biggest pair of titties you've ever seen.
I know.
And then he's gone. Never to be seen again. Randall comes in, tells Dante that a high school friend named Julie Dwyer died swimming laps in a pool and reveals that the wake for her is at 4 p.m. that day. So Dante, after a lot of needling from Randall, because Randall wants to go to the wake too. Dante
Right.
obviously wants to go.
Yeah.
Randall wants to go too. So Dante closes the store so they can both attend the wake. My favorite line from this part, Dante says, "You hate people." Randall replies, "But I love gatherings. Isn't that ironic?"
So I'm the Randall of the podcast.
There's no way. You're definitely the Dante of the podcast. You complain too much. I'm the Randall. I'm just a free-spirited guy that has no, weird obsessions or anything like that. I just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, neither of us are Randall.
No.
We're now in the car, and after a very interesting conversation about Randall's cousin's death,
Yeah.
balls resting on his chin,
Yes.
Dante and Randall arrive at the wake. They run out, and it's revealed that Randall knocked Julie Dwyer's casket over and her body fell out.
That sounds right.
Yeah. The scene, so when they drive away, we see...
Also, they didn't have to pay to film inside the building. All they had to do was pay to
That's
watch
why they
them
didn't do it.
walking up
Yes.
to the building and then
Yep.
walking away from the building.
They didn't actually ask permission to do that filming outside, and to keep the cost down, they actually Kevin Smith wrote a scene for that. I'll get to that. I'm going to go to that.
Oh,
that's
that's
going to be in our
funny.
trivia. I'm going to talk about it in the trivia. But you see 3 people run out and like start
Yeah.
pounding their fists at him and everything. Scott Mosier was one of those 3, the producer, and then the guy that asked about the Gatorade and told Dante he was a shoe polish smelling motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
He was the one that was supposed to be the girl in the middle.
Oh, that's funny.
My favorite scene, though, my favorite part during this scene is when they talk about how, nobody comes to the store at 4 o'clock on a Saturday,
right.
and everybody is banging on the window outside of the
Yes.
closed store, including the owner of the Quick Stop. That's her appearance in the movie. She's down in like the lower right-hand corner.
Oh, the real owner.
The real owner, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Our next scene is called Perspicacity. Arriving back at the Quick Stop, where it's now pitch black out all of a sudden, Dante screams at
Yeah.
Randall about the wake and tells him to go open the video store.
Go open the video store.
Randall, Jay comes out, or Jay yells, "Yeah, go open the video store." And then Randall says, "Shut the fuck up, junkie." And Jay comes up and farts on him. Classic. Randall, after opening the video store, he comes back in, asks to borrow Dante's car so that he can go rent a movie at a good video store.
Yes.
He does ask Randall, Randall does ask Dante if he wants something to drink. Dante says, "Yeah, Gatorade." And he says, "We're all out." So we have a guy come in. sees the cat and asks what the cat's name is, to which Randall replies, "Annoying customer." And that's Walt Flanagan yet again.
Oh, wow.
Calls him like a fucking dickhead or something like that, and then leaves. So Dante and Randall at this point argue over whether title dictates behavior. So basically, because you're a clerk, you got to behave a certain way. You can't treat the customers a certain way.
Right.
To which Randall wins the argument by spitting water in an annoying customer's face.
Yes.
Because the guy keeps talking about all these tabloid headlines, Bat Boy kind of stuff. So Dante, he relents because Randall won the argument. So now we have a scene called Paradigm. Oh, wait, no, sorry, that's Paradigm.
Nice.
Rick Darris is buying some milk. He hassles Dante for his weak musculature because Dante hands him his gallon of milk and he says he hears a strain and he says Dante's like, I don't have an ounce of fat on my body. And he's like, you got no tone either. At this point, Heather Jones, Alyssa Jones's sister, comes in and flirts with Rick as Rick reveals that he slept with Caitlin Bree while she was going out with Dante.
Yes.
I will say that Alyssa Jones will make another appearance in the Kevin Smith movies.
Okay.
But the guy playing Rick Darris is a guy by the name of Ernie McDonald. He's a longtime friend of Kevin Smith. They did like skits and stuff together in high school.
Oh, okay.
And he actually wanted the role of Dante, but obviously did not get it.
Yeah.
Then a representative of the Board of Health comes in and gives Dante a $500 fine for selling cigarettes to a child.
Yes.
This is another continuity error. So the guy says the pack of cigarettes was sold at 4 p.m. per the Board of Health, but they were at the wake at 4
Well,
p.m.
that's what I kept wondering.
So the scene occurred much earlier. But again, why are we not questioning how a 4-year-old got a pack of cigarettes on her own? Where was her mother?
Right.
New Jersey.
Her mother probably sent her for the cigarettes.
At this point, Rick and Heather are disgusted with Dante for selling cigarettes to kids.
Right.
And they leave for the beach because, Rick says, where would you like to go? And Heather says, how about the beach? And he goes, I like the way you think.
Yes.
And then Caitlin shows up. We don't see her yet, though. We do see Randall in heaven at Big Choice Video. And I do miss video stores. I would love to be able to just go look around in a video store, find some random thing I've never seen.
There was something about them because all those videos were out on the shelf and you could check stuff out and see what was there.
Mm-hmm.
It was an event to go with people and walk through the store together and figure out what you were going to rent for that night.
Every other weekend when I would go to my mom's for the weekend, we'd always go to the video store and I'd get like a movie and a game.
Yep.
Good times. It's just everything's too easy now.
Right now you can watch any movie
Video
you've ever wanted to
stores,
see.
Music, pornography. It's all too easy. These kids
Yes.
today.
I know. They don't understand.
This has been a scene of Mike and Charlie are both old.
I know, right?
We go back to Dante and Caitlin, and they're talking about her engagement. Meanwhile, outside, Jay and Silent Bob crank up the boombox and do some dancing, while Dante and Caitlin argue over their engagement over at the video store.
I love that scene. That scene's in there for no reason, essentially.
Them
right?
dancing.
Yeah.
That scene also.
It's just there.
Jay, obviously Jay wasn't an actor or anything. He was so embarrassed to do that dance that he made
That's
Kevin
funny.
Smith hide everybody in the video store so they didn't see him performing the dance.
Oh, that's funny. And it turns out to be so good. And Silent Bob is just sitting there doing nothing and then just suddenly jumps in and starts dancing.
I love the Silent Bob dance.
It's really terrific.
Caitlin reveals to Dante that she is not going to marry the Asian design major, whose name is Sang. They're like the past tense of sing.
Yeah.
They ultimately decide to rekindle their romance. Randall returns from the video store with some very specific porn. I don't think we would call it by that name anymore.
I know.
It's like a girl with enormous breasts and a dick that would put mine to shame or something like that.
What was about hermaphrodites?
It was hermaphroditic porn.
Yeah.
Chicks with dicks, as Randall liked to say.
You know where the name hermaphrodite comes from?
It's a Greek mythology name.
It is Greek mythology. Hermaphroditus.
Someone that had both parts, yeah.
Yeah, because he drinks out of a certain pond, basically.
I'm reading the Odyssey right now, by the way.
Oh,
Speaking of
really?
that, yeah.
Okay.
Let's just go on a tangent. It's really good. The Odyssey's so much better than the Iliad because I just finished the Iliad.
Iliad's almost unreadable.
Yeah,
it's just
pretty boring.
confusing and complicated to read. Yeah, the Odyssey's like a real story.
Yeah. And that's been Hermaphrodite time with Mike and Charlie.
Yes.
So Dante tells Randall about his conversation with Caitlin, asks Randall to watch the store while he leaves to change for his date with Caitlin. And then outside, Jay is with a couple people, and he has this little cartoon balloon, speech balloon from a comic book that he writes on. He slaps it on the door and flips off Randall. And Randall just comes to the door and opens it just at the right spot so that the speech balloon says, "I eat cock," and it looks like Randall saying it.
Yes.
I did want to say real quick here about Caitlin Bree, the actress that played Caitlin Bree. Her name was Lisa Spoonhour. She did pass away in 2017.
Oh.
I'll never forget that. I was at work, and you know how you get like news alerts for like breaking news and stuff? Like our local news station had breaking news that she died. I mean,
Weird.
Look, this movie means a lot to me, but I thought that was very odd that a big, Indianapolis news station would report that. So somebody there must have been a Clerks fan. Our next scene is called Whimsy. Caitlin comes back to the quick stop, and Randall gets protective of Dante while watching his children's programming.
I did like how Dante now has pleated pants on, which pleated pants used to be a thing back in my day, and I liked when pleated pants were a thing, and now they're not. Now flat front pants are a thing.
I mean, I don't wear those kind of pants anymore because I don't go into an office. But if I do wear pleated. I will. Always wear
pleated, and I like cuffs.
Yeah,
but those are not cool anymore. But maybe they'll come back.
Everything comes back. Have you seen the hairstyles on teenagers?
Yeah, I know.
It looks like the 80s out there again.
Yeah.
Caitlin has to use the restroom. So she goes and uses the unlit bathroom. They talk about how the
light
owner
doesn't
of the store,
every day at like 5:15 the light goes out or something.
Because the electrician owes the owner money or something, so they just won't get it fixed. Remember when you couldn't use your cell phone to see at night in the bathroom?
Right.
Our next scene is called Quandary. Dante returns as Caitlin comes out of the bathroom, having just had herself a good time in the dark. Dante says it wasn't him, so Caitlin freaks out, and it turns out that the old guy that needed to use the toilet earlier was dead in there after having a heart attack while taking care of business by himself.
Yes.
Couple things here. First off, the line when Dante first comes back, I love the line where he's talking with Randall, and Randall says, like, why don't you go back there and make a little bathroom bam bam, and Dante says, "I love your sexy talk. It's so kindergarten, poo poo wee wee," and Randall just replies, "Fuck you."
Yes.
So when Caitlin comes out, here's another, this didn't age well. She comes out and talking about, having sex with, thinking it was Dante, but it wasn't Dante. And Randall says, maybe the Asian design major slipped her some opium. That's very uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, hasn't aged well since the early 1900s or something.
Right.
I mean,
but still.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed or not, but when they take away the old guy, the guy that was the Board of Health representative was apparently also a paramedic, because that was the same guy that gave Dante the ticket earlier.
Oh, that's funny.
Just so you know, that was not a real boner on that guy.
Oh, you're kidding.
It was a broom handle.
I figured it was.
Any thoughts on this? Anything else on this scene?
The scene was very funny. I loved the lady detective explaining the whole process of death and how it can remain after death, how long it can remain after death, and discussing the entire thing. I did like that part.
My favorite shot / scene in this movie is from this part, but I'm going to say it at the end when we talk about those. But there was also the line here, or you didn't mention it earlier, but you had a line with when Caitlin and Randall were just talking together when Randall was watching the porn.
Yeah.
Where he said, "We have something in common. We both eat Asian," because he's got a box of Chinese food there.
Yes.
That probably didn't age too well either, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows on something like that. Next scene's called Lamentation. As Randall recreates Jaws in a jar of salsa, Dante mopes about Caitlin. Randall tells him he needs to shit or get off the pot. By the way, do you remember when Doritos had regular tortilla chips? I think they just renamed them Tostitos, but at one point there was just the white corn
Oh,
Doritos.
did they?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
because that's what he's got there.
I didn't know you could get plain Doritos. I remember the original nacho cheese. Oh, so good.
So during this whole conversation they're having, Dante moping and everything, talking about Caitlin and how she, is probably going to be traumatized. Randall replies, she'll get over fucking a dead guy. Shit, my mom's been fucking a dead guy for 30 years. I call him dad.
Man.
I love that line.
He's got some great
He
lines.
really does. You can see why Kevin Smith wanted to play Randall.
Yeah.
Okay, our next scene is called Juxtaposition. So Jay and Silent Bob are calling it a day after poisoning the youth. Jay actually has some insightful things he says here. Basically, about Caitlin and Veronica, and you can't have your cake and eat it too, kind of stuff. But then you get your Silent Bob speaks part, and this is in every movie where Silent Bob has this real sage advice. There's a million fine-looking women in the world, but they don't all bring you lasagna at work. Most of them just cheat on you.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
It really makes him think.
It does, yeah. He has a revelation there, and he's like, "You're right. I love Veronica." Meanwhile, we're at the RST video.
Yes. Meanwhile, she's getting the speech.
Randall tells Veronica about the torch Dante still carries for Caitlin, as well as his latent homosexuality. Veronica proceeds to beat up Dante, threatens to increase the 37 count exponentially, and ultimately dumps him while telling him that it was spineless to make Randall tell her about this with Caitlin. So now we go to the scene called Catharsis. In the final duel of the movie, Dante proceeds to wimpily throttle Randall, while Randall returns the favor with a baguette. They keep fighting very badly for a while. Eventually it's over. There's stuff strewn everywhere.
Apparently, FDS stings when you get it sprayed on you. Do you know what FDS is?
It's like antibacterial.
Feminine deodorant spray.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Wow.
That was the thing back in the day. And he gets it sprayed on him.
That's funny. After the fight, Dante continues to mope and blame Randall, to which Randall lights him up for being such an asshole. By the way, we should have got some Charleston Chews. I hadn't had those in forever. They were very prominent in the background. I mean, any thoughts on the fight or anything?
The fight is hilarious.
Yeah.
And they destroy a lot of things in the store,
They do.
which probably was probably a big part of the budget was the stuff they knocked out the shelves, right? Considering how low the budget was. But no, the fight is hilarious. The fight is kind of like two actual people fighting instead of what movies usually have as two people fighting. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is like two people who do not know how to fight trying to fight.
Our final scene is called Denouement. Dante and Randall ultimately make amends. They clean up the store. Randall offers to help patch things up with Veronica, but Dante decides to try fixing things for himself. Bringing their friendship full circle, Randall wrangles out the door for Dante as the store closes, thus ending the movie. That's Clerks.
It's pretty good.
It is.
For a movie with
no budget.
No budget and sort of no plot. It does kind of have a plot there at the
and
end,
mostly
right?
amateurs.
Yes, exactly. And some of the acting you can tell is amateurish, but it's still very funny. And we didn't even mention shot in black and white, right?
Shot in black and white.
Yeah, which was
cheaper, of course. So
right, exactly, because it was real film back then.
Yeah. We have 2 counts for this movie because he says both these things happen so much. I'm not even supposed to be here today. Dante says it 6 times. And then 6 times.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Yes. And then also 6 times. They tied. It smells like shoe polish.
Yes.
I have a few trivia things for this one. In the original ending that aired at Sundance Film Festival, that scene where Randall says you're closed, Dante ends up getting shot and killed by a robber. And that's how the movie ends.
Wow.
There's like no music, and he's just laying on the floor, bleeding out. Glad they changed it.
So they could have another movie.
Yeah. I don't even think that was the plan then. I think it was just like one of the producers like, yeah, you got to change that last scene.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. There was a scene, and I talked about this earlier, there was a scene written at Julie Dwyer's funeral, but would have been too expensive to film. So in 2004, they did a cartoon version of the scene in the style of Clerks, the animated series. And it wouldn't even have fit
What?
with the movie anyway.
Was Clerks the animated series on Cartoon Network?
It was on
or something?
ABC.
Was it really?
Yes, I watched it when it came out.
No swearing, I guess, then?
No, it was
Wild.
It was crazy.
Did the actual people do their voices?
Yes.
Wow.
And Alec Baldwin was in it. He was like a main character. He was playing somebody else, but he was one of the main characters in it.
Wild.
It's stupid. It's stupid and fun,
I'm
awesome.
sure.
I loved it. You should watch it sometime. The audio commentary for this was recorded for the Laserdisc release.
Oh, wow.
And because
You remember laser discs, Mike?
I never had them or anything. I
No,
knew
I
they were
didn't either.
basically like vinyl records, but a compact disc.
Yeah, but it
That
was
how big they
almost
were.
like basically an analog movie on a laser disc, right? Like
Yeah.
I think it wasn't a digital movie. It was somehow more analog than like a DVD was.
Yeah. During that whole audio commentary, Jay Muse was passed out drunk on the floor in front of Kevin Smith. So
my
occasionally
gosh.
he would like just get up and say something and everybody would just laugh at him and then he would pass out again. Jay Muse had a lot of demons. His mom like did heroin while she was pregnant with him.
Oh wow.
So he was like
That can't be good.
No. He drank a lot. He was a heroin addict. Kevin Smith probably saved his life just by him having this kind of career. He did finally clean up. He has a show on YouTube called 5 Things where they go into a convenience store and they pick out 5 of their favorite things. So the one I watched, of course, was Jason Mewes with Kevin Smith doing it. And it was so funny. But I love seeing Jason Mewes clean. My wife watches some of his videos. He does a lot of stuff with his daughter. I think his daughter's like a teenager. And, I just want to see him continue down that path. I have some companions. I don't know if you have anything, but I'll start with mine. Movie companion. You got to watch the movie Slackers, directed by Richard Linklater. You know who Richard Linklater is, right?
No.
Well, you've seen several of his movies. He directed after Slackers. I think it's just called Slacker. After Slacker, he directed a little movie called Dazed and Confused. And then he directed another little movie called Before Sunrise.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. But Slacker is the one that inspired Kevin Smith to be a director.
Oh, wow.
So it's very low budget. It takes place in Austin, Texas. And it's a nothing burger. Nothing happens in the movie. It just goes around all these different people. I like Clerks a lot better, but like I said, it inspired Kevin Smith. The book I have for a companion, it's called, like I said it earlier, Tough Shit by Kevin Smith. Unfiltered. He just tells you flat out everything. And it goes up to that point. Do you remember when he got kicked off of the airplane because they said he was, quote unquote, too fat to fly? Do you remember that?
No.
It was Southwest, and he went on a warpath with Southwest. And ultimately, I think he won that
Wow.
because they had a lot of bad publicity over it. And my TV recommendation, Clerks, the animated series. Like I said, it's only 6 episodes. It's got, like I said, Alec Baldwin. It's got all the cast. It's cartoony. It's very cartoony. So, any recommendations, anything you could think of that people should see or read or whatever based on this movie?
No. I know nothing else related to this movie.
So we'll do our favorites now. Favorite character, favorite line.
Well, actually, did they do Chasing Amy?
They did.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. I mean,
like
of
that
course
movie.
I'd recommend any Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Except for maybe Tusk. Tusk is very, very
I haven't
weird.
seen that.
He went into a horror phase. So my favorites. My favorite character is, of course, Randall. I mean, there's nobody else even close. Randall is amazing.
He is so good.
Yeah.
Just the way he delivers his lines. And his lines are the most ridiculous in the whole thing, but also just really good.
But his like sarcasm and stuff, like there's
Yeah.
a point where Dante's talking about how his mom, or like his mom didn't lift his toilet seat, so he shit his pants, and then Randall just replies, "Fascinating story or interesting story."
Yes.
My favorite line, this job would be great without the fucking customers.
That is the best line.
And my favorite scene / shot, and this is subtle, but when the coroner talks about, they ask the coroner, is this the weirdest death you've ever seen? And she says, no, I once had to go see a guy that was trying to fillet himself that died.
Yes.
And if you look at Randall's
and he breaks
face,
his neck.
yeah,
Yes.
you look at Randall's face, he's like so sad and downtrodden over it. It was hilarious.
That is a great scene. Now, my favorite scene is still, I do love that line, but about the great without the customers, but because I have a similar one working in the IT industry about how great our software would be without users.
Nice.
But my favorite scene is the one discussing the Death Star and the roofers and the independent contractors who get killed on the Death Star. I love that scene.
It's amazing. Final thoughts and rating. I mean, you may be shocked by this, but this is a 5-star all the way movie that is one of my favorites of all time. So where are you landing on it?
I think it's 4 stars.
4 stars.
It's very funny. I enjoy it. There's really nothing that I don't enjoy about it. It's very, very funny. The writing is really
Kevin
amazingly
Smith can
funny.
write dialogue.
Yes, it's
so well.
very, very funny dialogue.
And really, like Jeff Anderson as an actor, he's amazing in this. And then if we ever do Clerks 2, like I think he even gets better in Clerks 2 as an actor.
The scene with the guy on the roof arguing and then playing hockey and hitting the ball away.
It's good stuff.
I love that scene.
Well, good. I'll accept 4 stars from you. That's fine.
Okay.
So our next month theme is actually going to be called This Round's on You. And this is where our friends pick movies. So how we did this one was we actually had an Oscar watch party. And whoever had the best scores predicting the winners of certain categories in the Oscars would get to pick our next movie. So the top 2 people are picking our movies for May. So the first one is actually a friend of your wife Becky's.
Yes.
Named Allison.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been dying to know what this is because it's been a month and a half and I still have no idea what movie we're watching and I'm a little scared. So
yeah, I have, well, I mean, it's from 1995.
Okay.
It has won an award, right? I don't know. Based on that award, this movie might not be like totally up your alley, right? And everything. It was, so I'll kind of give you...
You're going to give me some clues and see if I can
Let me give
it.
you a summary of the plot and see if this does it for you. So it kind of reminds me of a biblical story. So in the Bible, there's a story of a man who has these children, and one of them stays at home and does all these wonderful things. The other one goes away, squanders everything he has, and then he comes home after he's squandered everything.
Okay.
And back to the father, and even though he did all these terrible things, and even though, in this case, not a son, but the other character has done everything he's supposed to all this time, yet the son who comes back, who's squandered everything, gets a position of great authority and is celebrated coming back. The story of the prodigal son. And so I'll tell you the award that it won. Okay. So it won a Razzie for Worst Supporting Actress of Bo Derek. And
my God, wait.
It's got one of my favorite
Oh my God,
scenes.
is it Tommy Boy?
Yes.
Holy crap. Mikey likey Tommy Boy. Oh my God.
I've been torturing Mike for weeks that I wasn't sure if he was going to like this movie, and it might be like not up his alley.
I thought it was going to be like, I don't even know.
Beaches,
sure. The Rose, I don't know. Wow. Tommy Boy.
I think you'll be able to watch it.
And our favorite band of all time has a song in Tommy Boy. I've seen Tommy Boy probably at least 20 times.
I figured you had.
Yeah. That's amazing.
We get to see a fat guy in a little coat.
Wow. That is so funny. Okay. Well, now you're going to be disappointed in mine. So our good friend Sean, him and his wife Amy bought us our lovely decanters with our Bottled and Bond logo on it.
Wonderful people.
He went back and forth.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he decided that it would be inconceivable that we don't do this movie.
The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride.
Nice. Oh, man.
Wow. Tommy
That's a
Boy
good film.
and The Princess Bride.
I think we'll make it through this
I
next few weeks.
think we're going to be just fine. Hey, that's a pretty looking lady out there. I bet she dates one of the Yankees.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Wow. What a fun May that's going to be. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That'll do it then.
All right.
Now I get to do all this really tough research about 2 amazing movies.
Oh, exactly.
So that's it. Thank you,
All
Charlie.
right. Thank you. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Spirited Movie Companions. If you'd like to send us a message, you can do so at bottledandbondpod@gmail.com. Until next time, make yourself some popcorn, grab a comfy seat, and find yourself a spirited companion. Goodbye.